Day. We welcome to the program now David Olson, the president of ACE Scholarships. David, good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Hey, thanks for having me. You guys are great. Love your show. Listen to you all the time.
Appreciate that, David. Really do. So it's School Choice Week. National School Choice Week.
It really is, yeah. And we're busy down at the Capitol and just telling our story.
Yeah. So we've made some strides in Mississippi with respect to education savings accounts. We've got the dyslexia scholarship. We've got the special needs scholarship as well. We've got charter schools. But we're not to the level of a Florida or an Arizona with respect to universal school choice and education freedom, where a parent could select the setting they think is best suited for their student, and the money that would be appropriated by the legislature to the public school to which they are attached would follow them to the setting of choice. Could be micro school, home school, charter school.
That's right.
Private school, all the above, parochial schools. So we're trying to get something along those lines done here in Mississippi. I know you've done a lot of work on that. So tell us about the ACE Scholarship and how that fits into all this.
Sure. Well, ACE Scholarships is a program that's been around, started in Denver about 24 years ago, and we just launched in Mississippi. It's a scholarship program where we provide partial scholarships for lower-income families so they've got access to good schools. Basically, middle-income, high-income people, if they want good schools for their kids, they move.
Okay.
But, lower-income people are locked into a zip code.
Right.
If the school's failing, they
not
can't
as mobile.
move. They're not as mobile. You got it right. And so what we do is come alongside those parents. It's all needs-based. It's qualified based on their income. And we give them an opportunity and a partial scholarship to go to a school of their choice that might be a better fit for their kid. And so what's a better fit? It could be that maybe there's, incident of bullying. Maybe there is a special need that they have. But it also could be that, they want to go to a school that more aligns with their values.
Yeah.
It could be a Christian-based school. And so we work with the parents. We work with the school. We provide about a third of the funds to go to that. The school typically will write down some, and then the parents contribute the rest. So everyone's got skin in the game. And it's pretty remarkable in Mississippi. We've been operating for a year. We've got 350 students, scholars, on scholarship in 39 schools around the state. It's been a wonderful program this first year. We're growing like crazy. And I can give you this data. We've got the average family in ACE scholarships, family of four, their income is $42,000 and some change. And yet they're willing to contribute up over $2,500 per student. So when you think about a family of four making $43,000, they got to pay taxes, they got their car note, their house note, and yet they're willing to invest in their child. It just harkens back to the days when the immigrants came. They gave everything they could to make sure their children succeeded, and that's what we're trying to do, help with that program.
Okay. Yeah, sounds like a great idea. So what are you hearing at the Capitol? Are you hearing anything? Is there? You feel like there's an appetite to keep pushing this ball down the field with respect to education choice and freedom?
Yeah, I really hope so. You just talked about ROI.
Yeah.
And, you want a return on your investment. Let's invest in the children, not the system, right? Not the unions.
Yeah.
Let's give the money to the kid. Let's have the funds follow the child so they can go to the school where they want to go. There's a lot of research out there showing that the 13 states that have these education savings accounts work and work very well. And so I'm really hopeful. Until we have, we really do have the ESA, the special needs ESA. We have it here.
Yeah.
It's a great program. It's a little difficult to work through,
right?
But it's nice. And so why don't we expand that? It's kind of the natural choice.
Yeah.
And so, we're working on that. Until we have it, ACE is here to come alongside parents and help with that. But I'd love to see that program expand.
I've heard our lieutenant governor, in fact, in this studio a couple of weeks ago with Mr. Gallo, said, gee, we already have school choice. He just didn't seem to be, I guess, too interested in pursuing additional school choice options and programs.
Right. I read in the Magnolia
Tribune
that his focus is education, and he's really all in on community college. And I know he's a very smart man, a good guy. He knows that you got to have a good base of education to get into a community college. Our community colleges are great here. My daughter just graduated from one. And so you've got to have a great education to get to a community college. So I know that, he's got to believe that education is important and it's got to be K through 12.
Sure.
I also know that, we use these canards like, well, it's unconstitutional. That's a talking point. Okay.
He's used that.
He's used that.
Yeah.
And so now that that's kind of, been proven wrong, the next thing is, well, it's too expensive. It's cost. And I think the more legislators that I talk to that just listen to that talking point, when you have a meaningful conversation, you can describe and explain that really isn't the case. In fact, there's a lot of research out there, not only on education outcomes for ESAs, but also tax savings.
Right.
The Friedman Foundation has put out a lot. And so, basically they studied 28 schools and with ESAs, and basically in those areas, 25 were, where they had tax savings for that community. Yeah. The other 3 were revenue neutral, so there wasn't a cost.
Right.
And if we're going to spend money, let's spend it on the students.
There's just, as you well know, there's lots of misinformation.
There really is. Yeah.
Lot of fear and concern, and that often gets communicated by school choice opponents to the public, to the people, and it's kind of starts out and then it evolves into a fishing tale to where'd you come up with that from? That's not how this works. I've heard people have this perception that the state would just literally send checks directly to homes for those who have these savings accounts, scholarships, state money, and then they just spend it on whatever they want, and that's not true. It's not how it's ever been implemented in any other state, to my knowledge, and I've reviewed them.
It hasn't. Yeah, so there's 13 states that have these.
Arkansas, there are counts.
Arkansas is the most recent. Utah's got a great one. Yeah. Arizona has a wonderful universal program.
Sure do.
And there is accountability. And so, it's the devil's in the detail like anything else. Yeah. We draft all this policy, and there's certainly area to figure out how to achieve the outcomes we want with a program that works for everybody.
And then another concern is, you're just going to have an exodus from the poor-performing schools, and they're going to saturate and overwhelm the high-performing schools, especially if they're close in proximity. And there are guardrails, as you know, in all the states. That in Florida, it's a capacity test, essentially. And certainly we could agree on what's a reasonable capacity for any school, and you just can't exceed that. So,
that's right. And the schools, the private schools have their own requirements for entrance.
And we're not looking to change that or compel them to adhere to some admission standards just because the students' education, their tuition is being funded in that way. Nobody's looking to do that.
Yeah, so, I'm a free markets guy. I like to get coffee. I go into a coffee shop. I got a couple bucks in my pocket. I want their beans and water. They got beans and water. They want my money. Yeah. And if they've got a good product and I'm a good guy and they're a good guy, we exchange. It's thank you. If they don't, I can go somewhere else. Right. We can do that with doctors and pretty much everything else we have except for schools. Right. And it's kind of interesting that really one of the most important things, one of the most fundamental things for success, we can't choose. We've got to go where our zip code is dictated unless you've got the mobility to send your kid to a private school.
Yeah, and I think so many look at it as almost a polar situation where, okay, you're going to help one entity and hurt another. There's no goal or...
It's not a zero-sum game.
Exactly, it's not.
And there's a lot of research out there showing that when you provide choice and you enter some competition, that the public schools get better too.
And that's the goal.
Yeah.
I mean, in fact, let's be honest. The goal is to improve the quality of education universally for every student. That's the goal. And we're not saying that public school isn't the way to achieve that. That's not what this is about. Yeah. It's just that different people just perform differently and based on the setting. It's no different than picking a job that you can excel at. It's the same sort of deal. You find the environment that allows you to reach your fullest potential. That's all we're trying to do here.
You got it.
Well, Dave, I appreciate your efforts on this. As you know, I'm a proponent of this as well. I think it's a great thing for the state of Mississippi. We've kind of scratched the surface, and we've got some things done, but we got more to do. So, David Olson, everyone, president of ACE Scholarships, appreciate you coming in. Thank you, man.
Thanks for